Today we're going to talk about operations with fractions. That includes a lot of different things. So I'm going to show you a slide-by-slide presentation of some different examples that you can revert back to whenever you're a little confused with fractions. The first thing we're going to do is we're going to convert between mixed numbers and improper fractions. I like to call mixed numbers just a mix of sizes. As you can see right here, we have a mix of sizes. We have one whole number and then we have a fraction of 3/4. So 2 3/4. We're going to turn that into an improper fraction. An improper fraction is when you have a large number on top of a little tiny number, okay? So the larger number is the numerator, okay? So what you're going to do, and this graphic is really helpful, is you're going to make a circle. So the 4 to the 2, as they have over here, you're going to multiply it. And then once you do that, the 2 to the 3, you add. So when we do that whole order, we have 4 times 2 is 8. Then 8 plus 3 is 11. Now that's not your improper fraction. Your improper fraction is always over the same denominator. So it's 11 over 4. I'm going to do this example right here, the 7 2/3. I'm going to actually write it better so that it's easier for us to do that circle. So 7 2/3. So what we do is we make our little circle like we have above. We do 3 times 7, which is 21, and then we add 2 to that. And we make sure 3 is our denominator. So 21 plus 2 is 23 over 3, and that's our improper fraction. The next example we're going to talk about is a mixed number, okay? So we're going to have this improper fraction. Now we're going to go back to the mixed number. A fraction is a division problem. As you can see above, this 28/5 literally means 28 divided by 5. So they do the whole long division process right over here. And what they get is they have 5 whole, which comes from right there. Okay, when you're dividing, and your radius is 3. So that's left as your numerator, and then your denominator stays the same just as we had before, and so the answer is 5 3/5. If you want to check your answer, which is always great to do, you do what we just did on the previous slide. You create this and create it into an improper fraction. So you do 5 times 5, which is 25, and then you add 3 to that. And you make sure 5 is your denominator. So 25 plus 3 is 28 over 5, and that's what we started with, so we know it's correct. I'm going to do it with the 22 over 5, or 22/5. So what you do is you literally divide 22 by 5. You read top to bottom, or left to right. So it's 22 divided by 5. How many times does 5 go into 22? It's 4. Which 5 times 4 is 20, and you subtract. Now, you cannot do anything with the 2. We're kind of stuck there. So what we have is we have 4 whole. Our remainder was 2, and our denominator stays at 5. Our answer is 4 2/5. Now we're going to quickly go over adding and subtracting fractions. I made sure to include this list that let us kind of explain what to do in case you need to check back. So step 1, make sure all mixed numbers are turned into improper fractions. It's just a little easier. Then you find the smallest multiple of both denominators, and that's only if the denominators are not the same. It's very easy if our denominators are the same in this problem, which we'll do in just a second. We're going to rewrite the fractions with the least common multiple as the denominator. That makes sure the denominators are in the same number. Then you add the numerators and reduce. That's the most important thing. So I'm going to actually skip over to this problem I circled over here because it's already set up for us. We already have the denominators that are the same, and we don't have to worry about any mixed numbers. We don't have any. So what you really do is you're going to add or subtract, since we are talking about subtraction. So 2 minus 4, those are our numerators, is -2. And then you keep the denominator the same, -2/7. Now, if you can reduce, you should, but you can't right here. I'm going to look at this first example right here, 5/6 plus 2/3. So 5 6 and 2/3. We are looking at our denominators right now. The 6 and the 3, we need to figure out what the least common multiple is. And if you kind of guessed it, it's 6. So 5 6 is actually going to stay the same. We don't have to alter it. But what did we do to make the 3 from 2/3 into a 6? We multiplied by 2. You have to multiply the entire fraction by 2. So we already did 3 times 2 is 6. So 2 times 2 is 4. Now that our denominators are the same, all we have to do is add the top. 5 plus 4 is 9 over 6. Now, we're looking at step 4. It says add the numerators, which we did, and reduce. Can I divide 9 and 6 by the same number? I absolutely can. It's 3 over 2. We're dividing by 3. Now, it also says if it's an improper fraction, change it to a mixed number. If you have memorized this, this is perfect, but 3 halves is the same thing as 1 1/2, or you can go back to the previous slide and do the whole division problem. And that's your answer. Multiplying fractions is very straightforward. First, you need to change mixed numbers into improper fractions if necessary. Then multiply straight across. That's all you have to do. And then, of course, reduce your fractions. You need to reduce your fractions. What I'm going to do is I'm going to do this example right here, second one, 5 6 times 2/3. Now, the way it's written here is kind of tricky, so I'm actually going to write it so it's a little more vertical, and I'll show you why in a second. I'm a very visual learner, so this is actually very helpful. So we just multiply straight across. You do not cross multiply. That's for division. You're going to multiply straight across. So 5 times 2 is 10. And then 6 times 3, 18. Now, we have to look to see if we can reduce. These are both even numbers, so I know I can definitely divide them by 2, and that brings us to 5/9. There's no common division that I can do here, and so we know this is our answer. It's the same thing, the same process that we would do for these two examples right here, although we have to change these mixed numbers into improper fractions first. It just makes the whole process easier. Division is the same thing, except I like to multiply the reciprocal. To multiply the reciprocal, and I'm going to show you right here, you take your first fraction, you copy it down, you put a dot instead of division, you're multiplying. The reciprocal is when you flip the fraction. So instead of 2/7, it's 7 halves. You multiply across again, it's 21 over 8. Now we have to divide 21 divided by 8. 8 can only go into 21 2 times, and that's 16. 21 minus 16 is 5/8, and that's your answer.